There's something in the name, the Lord of Hosts. There's something that we aren't quite tapping into here. The Lord of Hosts is a descriptor of who God is and what he does. The hosts are described in different ways. They're described as heavenly armies. They're described in Isaiah 6 as having called seraphims and having 6 wings. And there's all sorts of things happening in the spirit realm that we do not understand. But we do know that God is the Lord of hosts. And the reason this is important is because when we worship and when we pray, we are tapping into the power of God as the Lord of hosts. We are invoking the Lord of hosts into our battle. So when David said to Goliath, "You come to me with swords and spears and a javelin, but I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts," what was David doing? He's invoking the Lord of hosts into his battle. And when we worship, and pray, we are invoking the Lord of hosts into our life, into our situation. So worship and warfare aren't two separate things. It's not that we worship and we pray and then we go out there to do warfare. When you pray and you worship, you are doing warfare without realizing it, because you are invoking the Lord of hosts. And there's an interesting definition of God being our helper. In the book of Genesis, when God says to Adam, "I'm going to give you a helper who's going to be a counter to you, a helper to you," that word in the original Hebrew means military agent. So when we say God is our helper, it's not just he's helping us across the street. We are saying God is our military agent. He will go into battle for me. He will die for me. It's like when Abraham went into battle for Lot in Genesis 14. He went into battle with 318 men, and they got all the possessions back. They got women and children back. They got Lot back from being kidnapped and so on. So in that sense, Abraham was Lot's military agent. He was Lot's helper. And God is our helper. Christ is our helper. So when you pray and worship, do we realize that we are invoking the Lord of hosts? Do we realize when we say God is our helper, I will not fear what man can do to me? Do we realize why that is? It's because God is the Lord of hosts and he backs us. He backs us with all of heaven. He is our helper. He is our military agent. He does everything to help us and goes to work to answer our prayer. So when you pray and when you worship, don't forget that alone also is warfare, because we are crying out to and worshiping the Lord of hosts, our military agent.